the importance of listening and learning about each other. So I think that's been huge. I think personally for me too, it's allowed me to slow down, even with my family. Being home for dinner and eating at a table and hearing how their day was, rather than thinking about what recruits I have to call or where I got to go, and actually being present. And so I think that's been it's been an amazing learning experience. I'm still learning, but to be able to slow down, be more aware, and has been a really a great thing for me. And I think it's been a great thing for a lot of people.
And if I could ask just a follow-up to that, I guess as a person who is in a leadership position,
yeah.
Just how are you going to use your role maybe going forward?
Well, a big thing, Percy, great question. We've been doing a lot of team meetings. We're lucky to have our faculty athletic rep, as well as a professor, like Dr. Alexis Harris, has been meeting with our team and having discussions. We've discussed, obviously, the George Floyd and Jacob Blake tragic, and just hearing what our players are feeling and talking to them. That's been one part. And then listening to them, and then how can we make a difference? And so we spent last week talking about voting and the impact that we can make. And so we've got some stuff coming up that I think is really exciting, where our program, I know the school, I know the Pac-12 is going to really try to get people out there to vote, try to use our platform as a team to really encourage that's where real change will be made. And then we actually did almost like a basic civics 101 course, how certain decisions are made and what to look for in voting. And Dr. Harris did an incredible job. I'm 51 years old, and it was learning, it was a learning experience for me. And so to understand an 18, 19-year-old, 20-year-old kid, to really understand how to make a difference. If you believe in police reform, who is their boss? Who do you have to vote for? How do you find out what they believe, or what all those types of things? How to read this is a primary, just like, there's 1,000 names here. I don't know. So, and really understanding it and really educating our kids. And I think that's the most important thing, is you're constantly educating, you're constantly listening and learning, and that's how you have growth. And that's what we've been focused on.
All right, Coach. Thank you.
Thank you, Percy.
Tim, I'm going to go to you, since I know you've got to jump off in a bit. So Tim, you got anything you?
Yeah, I got a couple of things. Hey, Mike, how are you doing?
How are you?
I'm good. Two separate things. One, I'm curious, how many of your kids are already registered to vote, and how many still need to go through that process?
Well, I was just going to say that with Percy is last week we're 46 for 46, and that goes back to players, coaches, our whole GA staff, Ashley, everybody, 46 for 46. And that was really exciting for us to get there, to get to that point. We've got a couple out-of-state players that we made sure, now it's getting absentee ballots and all those types of things, and actually educating them. Dr. Harris had a link. She had everything organized for our players going in, to making sure it was that we're all good. So 46 out of 46.
Cool. And then the conference announced this afternoon some accelerated testing protocols and a new partnership. I'm wondering, where do you feel like your optimism is about successfully having a season, and if you think at this point a season, this testing advancement will allow the season to potentially start sooner than the January 1st date that was originally announced?
I think the partnership with the Pac-12, with Crudell, and getting the rapid testing, I mean, that's the key to this whole thing, right? You need to not only have rapid testing, it's got to be affordable, and then you got to be able to get quick results. And if you can do that, then you can knowing that if you're going into practices and games, that you know that you're not going to be able to get infected. And so I'm really optimistic, especially with the way, science just moves so fast. It's constantly rapidly changing in a good way. And the more we learn about this disease, so I'm very optimistic that we'll have a season. I think we definitely will, especially with the way that this testing and this partnership has moved forward.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Lauren, I'm coming to you next. Should go.
Hi, Mike. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. So I was just wondering, what has with everything going on with the COVID situation, what does your schedule and workouts kind of look like over the summer, and what's kind of your plan moving forward here?
Well, we were just lucky, really fortunate. Obviously, we have a great medical team and staff, and we were allowed to have a couple pods, limited amount of players. They would be separated, but we were able to have them on campus and give them some sort of routine. And so we would have lifting for an hour each day, and then we would be allowed to have an hour, 45 minutes a day to be able to work with our guys on the court. Obviously with social distancing, more shots, more routine-ish type of different things. And then we were allowed to later have open gym hours for those pods. They would still stay in the pods. So it gave them an opportunity to go back and shoot some foul shots or have another place to just go. We try to keep them as routine as possible and have them have options. So we just finished, I think it was close to week 6 today that we've had the guys, and I give, our leadership, our medical team, Jen Cohen, allowing our players to be here has been huge for them.
Has there been, do you feel, any extra challenge to kind of keeping a focus when you don't know when the season's going to start, if the season's going to start? Has there been any extra challenge there?
I think the biggest message we've been just going with is the only thing that we can control is try to get them focused on we can control today. And how can we get better? And then when we leave, it's like, okay, now you have to be disciplined enough to keep your teammates and everybody else safe by being responsible, wear a mask, and just those daily reminders with the guys. But control the day. We're going to have a season. I really believe that. And the key is that when you have that opportunity to have that season or when it starts, that we're ready to do it. And so to keep them focused on that.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, Chris Fetters, coming at you.
Thanks, Ashley.
Yep.
Great to see you, Hop. I was curious. It is weird to kind of even talk about basketball, I guess, type stuff, but I am kind of curious with Quad A now back in, and you've got waiver requests, I assume, for Eric Stevenson and
Cole Bajema.
Bajema, yeah. Was just curious how that process has gone along.
You know what? It's in the process right now. We put the waivers in and just waiting, just like everybody else.
Okay. And Quad A, just having him back.
Yeah, he's great. Quad A's done really good academically. He turned his set back, and he looks great right now, and has been really, really proud of him. Everybody responds differently, and the way he responded, we put huge smiles on our faces and stepped up as a great thing, and has stepped into a leadership role. So really proud of him.
Also really curious, just generally speaking it just feels like we talked to the football coaches about recruiting and how this has just turned everything on its head, and especially with very little in terms of evaluation periods and what have you in terms of in-person stuff. How has that really affected you guys going forward, just kind of roster management and all that kind of stuff?
Best players, the best recruits are the players on your team. And, you've got to work on getting them better. I think, recruiting's one thing, there's ratings and there's this and there's that. Got to get the right guys. I think we've got, the recruiting class ended up being a couple transfers, guys that were, locally, but really talented players. And, really excited about their growth. On the recruiting front, you know, it's equal playing field. No one's able to get ahead on anybody else during these strange times, uncertain times. So, you know, a lot of it's phone work, a lot of it's, you know, Zoom calls, those types of things. But our focus has really been, how do we get these guys better? Returning some guys that got a lot of experience last year. And like I said, you win some, you lose some, but the best recruits you have are the players on your team. Hug them, love them up, educate them, get them in that system. And we've seen a lot of growth from these guys. Really excited about this team.
Thanks, Hop.
All right, I'm gonna go to Dan Rayleigh next.
Hi, Mike.
Hi, how are you?
I am good for being on house arrest. Hey, with your 2 transfers, is there any reason to think that they won't become waiver eligible? And if they don't, you seem a little light on scholarships. What will you do if they don't become eligible?
Well, we you know, we feel good about our guys. You know, young guys, obviously, you know, Eric was had 2 years of experience already. So he's got experience at the highest level. Cole has 1 year. He didn't play a lot, but really talented. Nate Pryor's has done a really good job. He's an exciting talent. So we're you know, if those we have plenty of players. I mean, I look at, you know, a guy like Raekwon, some of the moments he had last year. I look at Marcus Tajonas, who, and people forget Marcus played 24 minutes a game. He was averaging 7 or close to 8 a game. He shot 40% from the 3-point line, and he didn't even have a whole season getting ready. So those guys, you know, could help us and impact us, but you know, we have enough for sure. So if that happens, we're ready for it. Have a lot of belief in a lot of guys.
Is there any reason to think that they won't get the waivers? Because I've seen all kinds of players getting them elsewhere.
Yeah, you know what? With the NCAA, it's, you know, I don't know, you know, how the decisions are being made. They have good, and we're just gonna, you know, wait and see what they come up with. But you know, we obviously want them to get their waivers. If they don't, we're fine.
Thank
Anything
you.
else, Dan? You good?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks.
All right, Chris Francis. Anything from you, Chris?
Yes, Ashley, thank you. Hey, Coach Hop, thanks for joining us, man. You know, a lot's been made about the Pac-12 not playing football and the disadvantage that might cause, whether it's perception or whatever. I'm just curious what you think about the perception of the conference in all of this handling of the COVID situation and whether it affects your basketball team at all.
Well, I think the perception, you know, obviously everybody has a different opinion. And I think the great thing about the leadership in our league is they were more worried, you know, every decision that's been made has been based on the health and wellness of the student athlete. And, you know, so perception or not perception, or the bottom line is I think that's the greatest way to be. And, you know, listen, you know, this thing is real. I think that there is, you know, the COVID is just, there's a lot of unknowns. It's kind of, I love when people say, well, it's got long-term effects. Well, how long has it been around? 4 months. How do we know it has long-term effects? And so there's so many unknowns. So, you know, the decisions that have been made, I mean, everybody wants to play. I mean, if you ask any player, they're going to say, yes, I want to play. It's the responsibility of the league and the CEOs and everybody else, the ADs, and us to say, is this a safe place? Are we putting our guys in the best opportunity to be the safest possible? And at that time, it was no, and I respect that. It's you know, if my son was one of the players, which he is, that's how I would want them looking at my son.
And then how are you sort of dealing with your players in terms of the roller coaster they've probably been on? You know, our season got canceled at the end. We don't know when we're playing. This new testing's coming out. We don't.
Yeah.
It's such a roller coaster.
Yeah, and again, like I said earlier, I think the biggest thing is listen, you can control today, and it's you know, it's so easy to say to these kids, but it's got to be rapid. You know, they talk about rapid testing. It's rapid communicating. You're constantly reinforcing that. You know, it's like the same thing. It's like you have to reinforce to them every day to be safe when they leave, because it's so easy to get caught up, like you feel comfortable and you put yourself in a bad situation. So we've just been trying to hammer away that we're going to control today. We're going to get better individually, collectively. Use this time to be around people and to live a normal existence with the help of our medical team and our staff. So that's been really good. And you know what? I really believe we're having a season, and I told them that. And the key is we can sit there and if you just, every day thinking about, are we going to play, or are we not going to play, rather than how I got to get better. And then when we do have an opportunity to play, we're going to be ready to go. And that's kind of been our message and the way that we've been messaging every day.
All right. Bill Swartz, you are up next, my friend.
Coach, number one, I can't believe you're 51. Yeah, it sounds like a lot of trust with kids 18 to 21 to do the right thing. We're seeing it at college campuses all over America. It's why you go to college, part of the reason, to socialize. So how do you convince these guys that just don't do the risky behavior? Stay safe.
It's hard, but you just, all as educators, leaders, you gotta teach them right for wrong, and you gotta give them, explanations. And, it's like being part of a team. Everybody has to sacrifice a little bit, right, for the betterment of the team. And, it's just the messaging. It's the same thing. We can't really control what you're going to do when you leave here, but you always have to take into consideration other people. It's very important that you consider other people and that you're disciplined. I look at our staff, and it's the younger generation. You're fine, but you could impact my family. You could impact Coach Hobby's family, Coach Dollar's family, Coach Rice's family, or Coach Conroy's. And so to let them understand the significance of making a bad decision or putting yourself in a bad position in anything, there's a consequence. And so, you can't control it, but you can educate them. And so we're constantly hammering down that message. But to your point, college kids will be college kids. Just hopefully they're as responsible as possible.
Mike, would there be a silver lining to starting the season Thanksgiving, December, especially for your team, which had a lot of departures and moving parts?
You know what? The silver lining would be that we're in an environment where we know that we're going to play and we're going to play safe. We know that we're going to have a season. Know that you're fighting for a Pac-12 championship, however that may be, and trying to build a resume to get into the NCAA tournament. That's what everybody plays for and gets ready for. So, just to be able to play games in a safe environment where we can compete, and that would definitely be silver lining for me. It didn't matter if it was a month later, 2 months later, or whatever it may be. Let us play some games.
Thank you.
I'm going to try and unmute Kim, and if not, I have his questions for him. I don't think it's going to work. So this is from Kim Gernalt. He says, all three new guys are local. How much influence did being back home have on their decision to join Washington?
We had recruited both of them. When we first started, Eric Stevenson, we were right there, and he decided to go somewhere else. We got in a little late. And then Cole Badgema, same type of situation. And so I think when they, with COVID and everything going on, I think when they were thinking about maybe getting closer home to their families, we had an option, as well as a couple of other schools that were locally. And, the relationship was already built, and our staff has got great relationships with their coach. We were able to get them to come back, and just really to Washington kids, along with Nate Pryor, in terms of the guys, new players, and my son. So you got 4 from the state, and really excited about them, not only as players but as people, and really excited to move forward. So still had the recruiting process, though. We had to recruit them for sure.
He also asked if you wakeboard or water ski.
Well, I'll share with everybody, during the COVID thing, I've been spending a lot of time with my family in a great way. It's been one of those slow down awareness pieces, like I was mentioning earlier. And I got a boat share, which means I didn't buy a boat. I'm not, I've never driven a boat, even though my father was a big boater. And so a couple of days a week, we go out there on the Puget Sound and go out there. I learned how to drive, scared to death. It was like I was learning to drive again in a boat. And it's just been an incredible to experience the beauty of Seattle and Washington, and being out there is, I really believe you live in the most beautiful place on the planet. And so that's been also a big win for me too.
Awesome. All right, we're gonna go to Anthony Edwards. Anthony, you should be free to go.
Hi, this is Anthony from the Daily Udub. I was just wondering how many different schedules has the team had since this whole thing started?
Just go like this. I need to see your Nirvana shirt. Okay, now we're talking.
Even the kids like Nirvana now.
Nirvana, yes. How many different schedules?
Yeah.
Well, we've been very consistent with, before summer school B had ended, I think it was 3 weeks or 4 weeks we had where the schedule was a little bit different. There was a separation. So say one group lifted at 10 o'clock in the morning, then they came back at 10:45, they walk over. So it's 11 to 11:45. That would be their block. And then there would be an hour and a half block in between due to class schedules for the next group, for the next pod. And so after summer school B, we were able to just go from 10 to 12, where one group would be lifting, one would be on the basketball court, and then they would flip-flop. So it became more efficient. So there hasn't been too many, so there's really only been 2.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, I'm gonna go to Jay. Jay, you got anything for us, Jay?
Thanks, Ashley. Hi, Coach. When you look at this year's current roster, what do you get most excited about? What jumps out to you about what you have, and are there any players there that you're excited to see take that next step?
You know what? I'm excited about the whole group. Like I watch, the way that Quad A Green has responded. It really excites me. He's one of the better guards in the country. He's a high level talent. Seeing Nas Carter's development, Hamir Wright, got a lot of experience. I look at Marcus Tahonis, a guy who I just was raving about last year. Just as he just kept growing. And Raekwon, our younger player, is really excited about that. Jamal Bay now will be a junior. Nate Roberts will have a newer role. So there's a lot of the combination of seniors, so last year it was like all these we were older, but it was like new guys. And now it's like, okay, now Hamir's a senior and Nas is a senior and Quad A is a senior. And then on top of that, Jamal Bay is now a junior, and mix that in with some transfers. So there's a lot of energy, a lot of positive energy. And another guy I'm just going to mention right now locally who I've been really excited about is Jerome Brooks. He's been a guy that I really believe in this last 5 or 6 weeks that's really taken a step forward in terms of his development. And, obviously everybody locally knows how good of a player he is. He's been a guy that's I've been really, really excited about.
Thanks, Coach.
You're welcome.
All right, Lars, coming to you. You got anything, Lars?
Yes, I do. How's it going, Coach?
Hi, how are you?
Good. So I had something. I only had a couple questions. When I talked to Eric after he made his decision, one thing he highlighted was the plan that you had for him. I was just wondering if you could share what maybe that plan was.
Well, the big thing is
what sold him to come back.
We've been messing with a little bit different of an offensive system, a little bit more guard heavy, a little bit 4 out, 1 and 5 out. And so, Eric is a guy that I believe, he's been a proven guy at the highest level. He only shot 29% from the 3-point line. He was really high earlier at Wichita State, but a guy who can really, really shoot it. And so I'm just really bullish about him, not only as a player, but he's got a competitive spirit that is elite. And I think that rubs off on a lot of people, a toughness, a grittiness that we need. And so, his plan, just like the others, is a guy that has been a proven scorer. We're going to try to have multiple playmakers out there that can not only, create, but can really shoot. And that's where you're going to see a major change, and he fits it perfectly.
Awesome. And then my only other question was, now that you've been a head coach for a few years, what have you learned from the coaches on your bench? How do you evaluate your bench? And is that something you maybe thought about doing this offseason, given that you brought pretty much everyone back?
What was the question about my players or the coaches?
Oh, the coaches. The coaches.
Oh my God, I've learned so much from our coaches. You know, I look back at you know, Dave Rice has you know, experience and he'll always, you know, there's the basics, but then there's something unique to Dave that he's experienced, that he's able to share that experience with me. Coach Dollar, Cam is, you know, we just click. Like, he'll come up with something that is so simple that he just makes me calm down. Like, he's got an incredible basketball mind. And then Will Conroy, like, Will's a guy who I love his energy every day, and he just understands kids, really does. Like, he's got an incredible feel for people. And so sometimes when you get so locked in, he'll be like, Coach, you know, we need to, you know, you got to think about this. And that's where they're all just so unique. And they're all so different, but they all bring so much value that they hit me in so many different ways. Cam is the guy who he hits you right in the middle. He just goes, boom, Coach Hop, man. It's awesome. I've learned so much.
Awesome. Nice, Coach.
All right, I think I've hit everybody. Does anybody have any follow-up questions? Dan, I'm coming to you. If it'll do it. Oh, I love Zoom.
How's that?
Go ahead.
There we go.
Mike, I heard you say 4 newcomers, and I thought I heard you use the word son. Did I miss something? Is your son on this team?
My son's going to be a walk-on on the team, yeah.
Yeah? Well, what is he, a guard, forward?
Yeah, he's a guard. He's a young guard, yeah. Yeah. And
Okay.
It's been fun. Seeing a different side of dad. I got to be dad when I got to go home, and I got to be coach when I'm there.
Yeah, I bet you're going to really run him too, aren't you?
You know what I got? I got his mother. His mother always, you know, she elbows me when I walk in the front door if he's upset. But it's you know what? It's been great. We got Dave Rice's son is on the team, my son, and then, you know, in normal circumstances, Will Conroy's children are always there, Coach Dollars, and so it's a great family environment. Love it.
And your son's first name and how tall is he?
It's Griff Hopkins.
Griff.
Griff, yeah.
Okay, and how tall?
6'3".
Okay. Great, thanks.
You're welcome.
Anybody else have anything?
Yeah, actually, I had a question. Hop, you mentioned with Eric a change with the offense, the one out. How does that work with the guys that you're bringing back already on the team, especially compared to the offense that you guys did run with Isaiah and Jaden last year?
I think, you know, it goes back to, you know, we've really messed around with positionless basketball, you know, and having multiple guys that can make plays. And Eric's just one of these guys that enhances what we're trying to do. And, you know, he has a new played and grew up with Marcus. A lot of these kids know each other from AAU basketball and local tournaments. And, you know, iron sharpens iron. And, you know, his competitiveness is just one of these things that's going to make everybody better. And, you know, when we have upperclassmen that are able to lead these underclassmen into what they have to do workout-wise, how do they improve, how are they in the weight room, how they handle their business, it just enhances everything that we do, and Eric's a perfect fit for that.
And also real quick, going to the defensive side, how much did you learn? Because I know obviously you tried to fit in a little man early, went back obviously to the zone, but did that kind of process kind of color your thoughts for how you're going to approach that thing this year?
What I learned is with a young team like we had last year with a lot of new faces, and we had some older guys, but they were young in terms of our system, that there was a learning curve. And then I also, whenever you have options, different things to play, you never have full belief in the one thing. And so the first couple of years, there was never an opportunity to play man. So it was like, okay, we're either going to sink or swim. We got to get better at it. There's no other option. And if you're going to play, and I think some of the younger guys, when they were frustrated and because the zone is hard to learn and there is a learning curve, that, well, we should have played man, or we should play more man. So there's this disconnect with young players. So I did like the man. I think it can help us. I think this team with our positionless basketball could be a big part of what we do. But I do believe if we have belief in both of them, that it becomes a really, really positive thing for this team. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for it.